Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about the code of the soul. So, I talk on other videos about the soul, but actually, every one of us has a code. And when I mean code, I mean something that we can read that can explain who we are. And if you look at the thing that we're made of, our bodies are made of cells, and these cells are have a nucleus, and inside of the nucleus there's a genetic code, something called DNA. And it's interesting, if we look at the word code, it's already telling us that there's something to read there. And I take this from the perspective of computer science. There's a computing code that actually makes a computer like the one that I'm using right now to record myself, that really runs the system um, of the computer. So we can actually go to the computer and go to the source code to read the zeros and ones that we all have, that the computer has. So we can tweak things and change the way that the computer works. Well, actually, there's also a codification for us. And it's something that I want to, show you, that if, for example, we go to the internet and we put, for example, DNA. The DNA is what we're made of, is this helix that we have here. And this helix is interesting because if we go to this image here on the right, we're going to see that this image has these 4 or 5 colors. This color in yellow is actually just the structure, like the container. But we have four it's called molecules, is also called crystals, and they are the adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These are the 4 molecules that the DNA has. If we go to a computer source code, zeros and ones, you're going to see that the computer code is basically formed by zeros and ones. So it's a binary code, as you can see here. And of course, if you've seen the matrix, you're going to see all these zeros and ones. Well, if we go to the DNA source code, it's going to be something similar, but instead of zeros and ones, we're going to have something that looks like this. We're going to have these different letters. So we have these letters that are put on a codification, right? Maybe I show you another image. Well, if we take this DNA, okay, and we just put it on a line like we're doing here. This is what I was explaining. We have a cell, we have a nucleus, and then on this nucleus there's a DNA, and then we can actually tap into it like we're doing here, and then we can figure out the codification here. As you can see, DNA code. Here, you see there's these different letters. So this is interesting because if we go to my whiteboard, if we take the computer code, we're gonna have 0 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 0 0. We're gonna have this type of combination, and this means something for the computer. But the genetic code works differently because this is a binary code. This binary means there's zeros and ones, and this is a hexa code. That means there's 4. This is just 2. So we have A, T, G, C, G, G, C, T, 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 A, and we can go on and on and on. Well, all these can be read. And how do we read the genetic code? Well, it's actually very simple. We just have to take groups of 3. So sorry. So we have to take groups of 3. And all of these can be read. I was showing before. If we go to this table, you're going to see the different groups of 3. For example, you see this TTT. This is one of the combinations. And if you look at the if you look at the amount of combinations, if we have 4 letters, and we can make groups of 3, how many combinations do we have? We have 64 combinations. Actually, if you do, I think it's 4 at the power of 3, it's equal to 64, which means 4 times 4 times 4, it's 64, because 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So actually, we have only 64 combinations, which is something incredible. And if you count how many combinations we have here, 1, 2, 3, you get 64. Well, the DNA works in this way. I have a DNA sequence, which is this helix. Then this transforms into RNA, which is just one code, and this transforms into a protein. Because here there's these groups of 3, and each group of 3 codifies for an amino acid. And these amino acids together, they create a protein. So here I have, let's say I have AAA. So for example, if I go to the table and I have, where's the AAA? AAA. You see AAA here? It's lysine. So this means that this is lysine. But for example, I can have ATC. And if we go to the table, let's look at ATC. Maybe ATC is this one, is another amino acid. So this would be LLC. And if we have, for example, TGA, it's going to be somewhere here. TGA is actually a stop. So this means that here we stop the sequence. So actually there's a starts and there's a stops, and that marks the sequence. As you can see, we can read the DNA. So I don't want to take you here longer, but the most amazing things is that we have 64 codons. And actually we can represent this on a table like like we were doing here, TCAG, TCAG, ATCG, and then do the different combinations, which are 64. Or we can also represent this on a circle. And this is what you're going to see here somewhere. There's also the representation on a circle. So you have the 4 letters, and you have the different combinations here. And then on the outer side, you have the different amino acids. Well, actually is interesting because we can put here the codons and astrology. Astrology is the study of the stars. And actually there's a coincidence between the codon wheel. So something that I haven't explained is that all of these groups of 3 is called a codon. So whenever I have like these 3 letters, that's a codon, that's a codon, and that's a codon. And there's 64 codons. So basically, if now this can be represented on a wheel, and actually I can take the astrology, maybe this is not the best one, but I can actually take the astrology. So the astrology will have the different signs, and I can put here the zodiac signs. And then the most interesting thing is that if I put the date of birth, some of the planets are going to be somewhere here. And then this is going to be lighting up some of the codons. So this is going to make that you have a specific genetic code and a specific codification from the different planets. For example, the sun is going to tell you your life's work. Your moon is going to tell you your emotional world, right? Your north node and the different planets is going to tell you different things about you. So if you're able to read your DNA and then read your date of birth, you have a unique combination, and that makes who you are. So that is actually what we do here on Discover Your Gift. This is actually something we do on level. We do this on level 1 and on level 2. Well, sorry, on level 2 and on level 3, we work with the DNA, the astrology of your birth date, and then we get down on who you are. That's it. Very simple. So that's it. That's what I wanted to explain on this video. Just explaining that there's a codification for you on your birth date. Your DNA is activated on a specific way. We all have the 64 codons, but you have a specific activation that I don't have. And because of the date of birth and because of the planets, you have an activation that I don't have. So that makes you special, and that makes me special because we are unique. So what you want to do is actually be able to uncode your genetic code through your birth date. And this will tell you a lot about yourself. And this is something that we do on level 2 and level 3 of Discover Your Gift. So if you're ready for the journey, just answer this comment and you will find more information on my links. So see you on the next videos.